dead.
Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. In most instances, writers make their characters go through a lot of suffering in order to make you empathetic to them. But sometimes the punishment goes so far that it becomes comical or uncomfortable to watch. Whether the person involved is the central focus of the story or someone off to the side, you remember them because of their terrible luck or how they've been treated by the people around them. It gets so bad that you can't help but define them by their suffering. How could you not when every time you see them, something bad happens? At the same time, it does make the small victories even sweeter, and that has to be the point of these punching bag characters. There is a trope called the wooby for them, but I hate that term. It does not sound cool at all. So here are 10 punching bag characters in no particular order other than when I thought of them. Number 1 is Gary Gergich from Parks and Rec, or Jerry or Terry or whatever they call him that week. Yeah, it gets so bad that people don't even remember his real name in his own office. It's a running joke in Parks and Rec that I don't find particularly funny. Sure, he's klutzy and out there. Some teasing and hazing is fine, but how the entire Parks department abuses him is a little much at times. There's a line between busting someone's balls a bit and harassing a person until they feel like they're nothing in their workplace. It feels very odd in this show, really out there, like it doesn't belong at all, and it's very out of character for some of the people involved. Even the writers themselves realize that they go a bit too far sometimes with this joke, because they ended up giving him a gorgeous, happy family, a great personal life, enormous levels of artistic talent, and, well...
You're perfectly healthy. That man has the largest penis I have ever seen.
Number 2 is Guts from Berserk. Talk about a guy who has never really had a win in his life, and when he does, it's later ruined in his memories due to new experiences. Guts has a messed up, broken life, so much so that you understand why he's so terrible at times. You watch as he is kicked over and over and over again throughout his life. Now, this isn't a story for those with a weak constitution. This is for adults. Full stop. Imagine the worst things that you can think of. Berserk has it, and Guts is in the middle of it, most of the time being on the receiving end of it. So much so that being a fan of the series feels a little bit like Stockholm Syndrome, especially because the creator Miura died before finishing the tale. While it is being continued, Guts is still fighting for even the tiniest scraps of happiness to this day.
Life sucks, and then you die.
Number 3 is Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, specifically the latest 3 games, although the originals have a few horrific optional death scenes. Turning into gold and getting eaten by a T-Rex comes to mind, but the reboot games were intense about beating and battering Lara every time she enters a new area, and she loses a lot more than she wins. It jumps between comical and horrific at times, especially when it comes to some of the death scenes. All 3 games seem to be attempting to put a single woman through as much physical pain as possible without permanently maiming her. I'm not saying the games are bad, they're not in any way whatsoever. There are just a lot of details when it comes to showing a woman getting stabbed, choked, impaled, crushed, burned, drowned, etc. I could keep going all day. It is a little excessive.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Number 4 is Paddington from the series with the same name. It's hard to think of Paddington as someone who's a punching bag. He's so cheerful and kind, yet let's not forget the terrible tragedies that befall him. If the bear took a moment to take pity on himself a bit more, we would understand, but he makes the most of his every situation, no matter how bad it is, which can be very bad, from losing his home to wrongfully going to jail. It feels like the universe is pouring pain onto a pure-hearted creature, which does endear the audience to him and make us happy when things work out for him, making everyone happy in return. He's the type of character that would make even the lowest of scum rethink their ways because of how Paddington handles the hardships of his life.
That the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Number 5 is Eugene Horowitz from Hey Arnold. The show itself acknowledges the fact that Eugene is a jinx. Bad luck follows him at all times, so much so that everyone expects something to go wrong the moment that he's around. Despite being nerdy, he isn't picked on as much as you might expect, at least by his classmates. The writers, on the other hand, love to have him crash, fall, and fail, always screaming out that he's okay because he doesn't want people to worry about him. It's both endearing and a little bit sad. This guy cannot catch a break, so much so that there's hardly a character that doesn't show at least a little pity to him, or at least they don't kick him when he's down, which is almost all of the time. I cannot stress this enough. There's hardly ever an episode Eugene is featured in where he doesn't end up bandaged or in a cast. Poor guy.
Excellent, Goku. Yes, you can hurt me as much as you want. The pain will only make me stronger. Okay, that's a pretty creepy thing to say.
Number 6 is Jack from Mass Effect. Now, there's a lot of characters from Mass Effect who go through a lot of bad situations. I could pick a lot of them for this list, but Jack takes the cake. She was originally an experiment by Cerberus, tortured and abused every single day of her childhood. After escaping, she was abused and betrayed for every day of her life by everyone. Every moment was a struggle for her. Even when someone cared about her, she couldn't believe it until Shepard burst into her life. That was the first time anyone showed her any sort of compassion or kindness at all. Optionally, of course, you can choose not to care about her at all, leading to her inevitable and very terrible death. The only way for her to reach any sort of happiness is if you care about her, and even then you have to make the right choices in the third game. It's easy for her to lose everything she cares about and turn into a monster. Most of her endings are in fact sad. You have to work really, really hard and make very specific choices for her to have any shred of happiness in the end.
Oh, I made myself sad.
Number 7 is the Elric brothers from Full Metal Alchemist, most specifically Alphonse. Talk about getting the short end of the stick. Having his father walk out on him when he was a kid, seeing his mother die, losing his entire body in an alchemist endeavor that his older brother pushed him into, not being able to eat, sleep, or have any sort of feeling of physical touch, just being a suit of armor walking around at all times. While his soul is bound to the planet, his existence isn't exactly fun, leading to emotional turmoil and existential crises. While Edward does suffer a lot throughout the series, he can at least enjoy many parts of life. In fact, Al's circumstances are so bad that death might have been more preferable to him if he didn't receive a happy ending, which depresses me because Al is the type of character you feel the need to protect.
I've only had Arlo for a day and a half, but if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Number 8 is Frodo from The Lord of the Rings. Okay, there are many characters who go through hard times throughout the trilogy. Gollum comes to mind as well, but even then, Smeagol at least did something wrong at the start of his downfall. You can't say the same thing for Frodo. The ring was gifted to him against his will, and now he has to carry it because he's the only one that can do it without immediately falling to corruption. He takes on the heaviest burden in the world, with few truly understanding the weight of his situation. Only Gandalf has the true idea. Through each book and film, Frodo gets gravely injured, abused, belittled, and taken advantage of. He also has to keep other people in line. Frodo only has Sam to help him by the end, and while Sam did go through a lot, his ending was far happier than Frodo's. Whereas Sam got everything he ever wanted, Frodo's future was ruined by the ring. He sacrificed it all to protect everyone, and the world only helped him by kicking him across the finish line.
You bow to no one.
Number 9 is Jesse Pinkman. While far from innocent at the start of Breaking Bad, he didn't deserve the hell that Walter brought into his life. Every new development resulted in pure suffering for Jesse. His soul was slowly corrupted as he saw, did, and experienced the worst the drug world had to offer. And despite his best efforts, Jesse could never really get out of it by himself. Even with the happiest ending in the series overall, there's still a chance that it can all be for nothing. He can still fail, Jesse can still go to jail, he could still be tracked down and killed. His existence will be one of constant paranoia, just like his life cooking for Walter White. And while there were happy moments along the way, it's nothing in comparison to the horror that was his existence being a virtual slave to Walt and other characters throughout the series.
Walk out the door, you see someone that you know and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Number 10 is Peter Parker. Yep, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Writers love to make him suffer. His existence is full of loss and pain. None of his relationships last. He's not fulfilled in work. He's demonized even while living in a world with government-sanctioned superhumans. It's just loss after loss after loss for him, all the while being consumed by guilt for Uncle Ben. Not a whole lot of rewards for Peter here. And that's supposed to be the point. You shouldn't do heroic things for the reward, but come on, there's such a thing as going overboard. Even now, Peter isn't even people's favorite Spider-Man anymore. That goes to Miles Morales. Talk about being the punching bag in both his universe and in real life. Just give him a happy ending or be done with it right now. Kill him off. It would be a mercy at this point. Whew. And those are 10 punching bag characters. It's not a definitive list or anything. There's definitely a few that I missed. If you think of any, tell me in the comment section. And if you disagree with any of this, that's fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
I don't ask for much.
You do.
Because I'm a nice person.
You're not.
Oh, thanks for listening, Stewie.
I had no choice.
Thank you all so much for watching.
You're still here?
Good night, everybody. Thank you. You bye. Boom.
Do not despair.